Here is come up on the toes, equal pressure amongst all toes, holding that position. And then now just showing you kind of the body weight variation. All I'm doing here is resisting my body from coming closer down to the ground. So I'm staying up on my tiptoes. I have a bend in the knees, as you can see, so that's getting that added target or added isolation of the soleus muscle, walking down for about 15-20 feet, and then same thing, walking back. Here, when it comes to the soleus, that knee is in a slightly bent position. We don't want to be up here. Again, you can still perform that exercise, but you'll be getting more emphasis on the gastroc muscle. Or you can add a barbell on your shoulders to increase the load. Okay, still isometric because that ankle is not changing its angle or its degree of motion. A little bit harder here. I can feel that added load. I'm trying to keep the knees bent, keep my posture, stay in a good position. Then same thing, I'm going to walk down 15-20 feet, and then I can walk back. The first part of this exercise, we can simply use the wall for some assistance when it comes to balance. I'm going to go into a bent knee position here, small bend in the knee, and then I'm going to go through my calf raises. So anywhere from 10 to even up to 30 calf raises here, but just laying the groundwork, but add more load. So if you have a barbell, have a pair of dumbbells. Now, need to, just because dumbbells are in my hand now, I cannot hold onto the wall for assistance. A little more balance involved, so small bend in the knees, coming up, equal pressure on all toes, and then I'm going through that calf raise here on the leg press. Everything is the same, right? We still want to be in a position where we have a small bend in the knees. Again, you can vary that angle just to get different length of the soleus muscle, but small degree of flexion here at the knees, and all I'm going to do from here is calf raise and sink in. So good thing about this exercise, and my foot kind of hanging, and just ball of the foot is up there on the support, heels are down. I get a good degree of range of motion here at the ankles from dorsiflexion all the way into plantar flexion, so very beneficial exercise to really work that muscle throughout the range of motion.
I'm just using this as a point to reach to with my foot. So I'm going to be standing there on one leg, and as I'm standing there on one leg, I want to make sure that I'm controlling through particularly those lower muscles, those abdominals, so gently draw the belly button in. I want to feel like I'm gently squeezing my butt on that standing leg, and from there I'm going to bend my knee, allow myself to dorsiflex the ankle as I come down and reach forward with the foot. Again, here we see that we're seeing that forward shift of the tibia, just like in stance phase of running gait. And then I'm reaching forward as far as I can and coming back up. I'm going to repeat the weight-bearing part of running gait. So we're not only looking at control of dorsiflexion, we're also looking at how dorsiflexion and knee flexion occur together. So we're using soleus.
Is the seated calf raise. This is a simple and easy way to begin to strengthen the soleus. First, begin in a seated position. Then, place a weighted object on your thigh. Be careful not to drop it on your foot. Then, perform the calf raise. And make sure you go through the whole range. And that's pretty much it. The exercise we will go over is the calf raise in a bridge position. This is a great way to challenge the soleus if no weights are available, while simultaneously engaging the core and the glutes. First, get into this bridge position. Make sure to keep the pelvis in line with the body. Also, try to keep the heel under the knees. Then, perform your calf raises. The next exercise we'll be going over is the rear foot elevated bent knee calf raise. This is a great transitional exercise to build strength and prepare to perform the standard bent knee calf raise. To start this one, Position yourself with the rear foot on an elevated surface. By doing so, this helps the person keep balance as well as gives some support for those who don't have the strength to perform this with their full body weight. Also, make sure to keep the knee slightly bent. This helps target the soleus a bit more. Then, once you are in a steady position, push down from the ball of the foot to raise the heel. This cue is important as some people tend to grip from the toes to do this, which is more of a compensatory strategy for weakness in the calf muscles. Now, if you believe you can maintain this position without support from the foot, you can move on to the next progression. The next one is called the bent knee calf raise. This is a standard and simple way to really engage the soleus. This time, there is no support for the foot, so this makes this exercise more challenging than the previous one, both strength and balance wise. Again, my cues for this are to keep the knee bent to isolate the soleus more, as well as drive from the ball of the foot to focus on using the calf muscle to perform the heel raise. Remember that when performing this, try to control the descent of the heel as well, since much of the activity from the calf muscles during running requires this kind of eccentric activity. Now, if you want to challenge yourself even more, you can try the next progression. This progression is known as the elevated bent knee calf raise. This one requires more demand from the soleus. This one is performed just like the bent knee calf raise as I mentioned before, but this time you need a 1 to 2 inch elevated surface like a barbell weight or a small step. Now, position your foot so the ball of the foot is resting on that elevated surface. This makes this more challenging as this requires the foot to go through more range of motion. This is important as peak calf activity actually occurs in a slightly dorsiflexed position during running, which is mimicked when placing the foot on the surface like so. Then, make sure to keep the knee bent, and just like the previous exercises, drive down from the ball of the foot. Even though this is the most advanced progression in this video, there is a way to further challenge the soleus. You can further challenge it by incorporating weights. You can hold weighted objects such as dumbbells or kettlebells in both hands. This is important as these progressions only require lifting your body weight. As I mentioned before,
stand with your toes on the edge of a step or a box, and knees bent slightly. Hold on to something stable for support if required. Drop your heels downwards. You should feel a stretch in the back of your legs, in the lower calf, known as the soleus.
Lean forward and hold on to something for support. Extend one heel off the edge of the step and bend that knee. Now allow the heel to drop below the step, holding this position for 30 to 60 seconds. Change the position of the foot and repeat with the toes pointed inward. And then once again with the toes pointed outward, holding each position for 30 to 60 seconds.
Basically just had a straight leg. Soleus is going to be a little bit different. We're actually going to keep our knee bent, and we're going to isolate just like the gastroc. Again, if you have trouble with your fingers like that, you kind of do this. So we're going to keep the knee bent, and we're just going to try to drive the heel down. Now, if that is too hard for you, you can also do it this way, which is just basically spread out your legs from each other, and you're just going to keep the knee bent, and you're going to keep the heel on the ground, and you're just going to apply pressure and basically drift this way.
They get in this position, and you can use a prop to lean on. So you can see I've got my knee bent here, and then I'm feeling a deep stretch in the soleus. I can lean back a little bit. I'm still feeling it like this. Again, it's a little bit of an awkward position, but it's for those people.
Time you're going to bend both knees until you feel the stretch and hold it. Try and keep your back heel down.
Your thumbs, get in there, pin that muscle, and then take your foot and move it back and forth. Start up below the knee, shouldn't be right behind the knee. I'm gliding down, pinning that muscle as I'm moving my ankle back and forth. And even now, I can feel that, a little popping in the tissue. Those are adhesions breaking loose deep down. Right there, I really feel, I know I was going to feel that after this weekend of backpacking. Right at the bottom of that muscle, it's all sticky. And that's just going to open up. So that's really going to help with actual shin splint problems because this is a deep muscle in there. Then you're coming back and forth. Just make sure you do some effleurage to flush that out.
And place the roller across the backs of your lower calf muscles, positioned directly on top of the soleus muscles. From there, gently sit back so that your body weight begins to apply downward pressure onto the roller. Maintain a level of pressure that feels intense but manageable, not painful, and begin to shift your weight gently from side to side, looking for tender spots. Once you find a tender spot, trigger point or knot type feeling in the muscle tissue, maintain pressure on the trigger point for 15 to 20 seconds. Feel free to move the roller by hand up and down the region and repeat this process as you find trigger point.
Just use a little bit and it lasts and I can grip and it just is great. So
right there. Once I
whole time, and we're going to be using a thumb tensioning up towards the knee here. We're going to be manipulating the foot position, so starting in plantar flexion, tension, back it up with the opposite hand, and come into full dorsiflexion. Tension, back it up, full dorsiflexion. So we can do this on the same side here, or we can move to the opposite side, and we're going to use a different tension. We're going to use that dual finger tension on the opposite side. So bring the camera around this way. So we're going to have same way, figure four position at the knee, and we're going to manipulate the ankle position in exactly the same way. So dual finger, back up towards the knee, tension, and bring it through into dorsiflexion. So we need about 20.
Basically, I take my two thumbs. I'm going to look for my shin bone, and I'm going to find the inner edge of it. Once I found it, I'm going to work my way kind of up right in the middle of the bigger, meatier gastroc muscle. And then once I found that, I'm going to kind of roll over the edge, and I'm going to palpate, push down, and add some pressure right in between that muscle and that bone. You'll probably know when you found it. Usually it's pretty knotted up, so it should feel like a pretty solid mass, and you're going to say, geez, what the hell was that? Spend some time working on it. You know, light pressure, it doesn't have to be super intense. You want to be uncomfortable, but you don't want to be in excruciating pain, because that's going to be counterproductive to what we want to do here. Now, I would normally work 2 minutes on this leg, 2 minutes on that leg doing that. If your hands aren't strong enough to do that, there is a way around it. You can use some tools here. I have with me both a lacrosse ball, and I've got a little ball from Rumble Roller, which I like. It's a really great little tool. These spines on here help to dig into muscle fibers and kind of help break things up. Both are really good though. If you got one or the other, it's fantastic. So then I would take this, place it right where my thumbs were, and then just apply some pressure there. I can apply a little more pressure here with my hand than I can with my thumbs. I've got more leverage. Again, 2 minutes on each leg. Spend some time doing that.
So I'm beginning with my effleurage again, starting right at the Achilles tendon. So I'm coming right above the heel, pulling the whole way just to the back of the knee, but I never want to work deeply right at the back of the knee. Once that tissue warms up, then I'll start to get a little more specific. I love to take my thumb like that, stabilize with this hand, and do a nice circular motion into that gastrocnemius. Remember, the gastrocnemius has two heads So I'm working the lateral or the more outside of the two, getting specific to the muscle that I'm looking to help out. Now switch. Stabilize with my right hand if I'm working the right leg. Same technique, working in a circular fashion. Coming back to a little deeper effleurage. So now I'm going to take both thumbs, sort of make a V, come between the two heads of the gastroc, and work up and down. If you are a runner, it's a very good technique to help with shin splints, also to help with plantar fasciitis issues. Going to move out of that and move into a Topotman stroke, where I'm taking my fingertips and I'm batting against the muscle. So you should be able to see your calf muscle move from left to right very quickly as you Topot that. You can also gently rake through the calf muscle and alternate back and forth between those two techniques. Finish out with some nice light effleurage into that calf muscle.
And I'm going to start with my legs straight because that's going to work that big gastroc muscle. And strictly, we call this plantar flexion all the way down, and make sure you come all the way up. Full range of motion. It's going to give you more bang for your buck. As you're handy, you can buy them on the internet for about $25, $30 or so. Good posture, up. And now instead of just going to neutral, we're going all the way down. It's really going to be complete.
So you'll fatigue it a lot more rapidly.
Yep.
Yeah.
And again, you're going to work two legs, and then when it gets too easy, simply go to the one leg. And this is when you really notice it, Bob. Give it a whirl.
Yeah, I will.
I can really do it. I got to have the...
It's almost like air.
The practice ones. Anyways, but you get the idea. You put that across here, and you have to have the right seat height so that your thighs are parallel to the floor is ideal. And
so normally the machine comes up, there's pads, you put your legs under,
Exactly.
and in this case, you can set this up at home if you have the
ankle at neutral position, and we want to get full range of motion. So if you go to a step, now you notice I went to a higher chair because I want to keep my femurs parallel. Now, normally if I'm on a floor, my foot comes to neutral, but now I'm actually going to drop down and get full range of motion throughout all the muscle fibers get strengthened. This is the best way to do it.
You're going to work on this, Brad, don't worry.
Okay, so then up here, this way you're getting more the balance involved again. You're getting the gastrocs and some postural muscles as well. So you're not just working those gastrocs, but this is a great way to do it. And now here's where, if you want to get more range of motion, get a more complete exercise, get all the muscle fibers involved, up.
Make sure you're safe, that you're not losing your balance. We don't want anybody to fall.
Right. This where if you're up and down and you never stop.
Oh, geez.
your feet, you want to make sure that you feel the weight right on the ball of your foot. You're going to bring this pad down. Now it's important, don't put the pad right on the top of your knee. You're only putting stress on your knee, so you want to go ahead and put it right on your thigh above your knee. So as you can see, my leg is in a 90-degree position here, so that's putting the gastrocnemius in a relaxed state because the origination point on the muscle is up here. So this muscle is in a shortened state right now, which means semi-relaxed, meaning it's putting more tension on the soleus, which is this muscle here. So the seated calf raise is primarily an isolation exercise for the soleus muscle. So as we lower the weight down, you don't need to overstretch it, but feel a slight stretch. So you're dropping your heels down, a nice mini pause, and then squeeze back up as high as you can. Get a little pause before controlling it on the way back down. Make sure that you squeeze all the way up. I see a lot of people really shortchange themselves when it comes to the range of motion. They'll come to about here when you could come all the way up here. You can see there's a big difference in the contraction from here to there. Look at the difference just in the contraction in the muscle. At a time. Exact same technique. Lower the heel, little pause, squeeze back up, press, bring it back down, nice soft knee. That's one of my
activity. I don't practice what I preach, and I have to be honest about it. But Bob has got the right idea. These are absolutely the best calf stretching tool there is, in my opinion. And Bob,
right? That's exactly why I added it in.
Yeah, you can relax. Your foot is very relaxed. It's very comfortable, and you can buy these for $20-30 for a stretch straps. Here, the stretch out strap, and relax and finish out your workout with a little more hamstring stretch.
And you actually can get a little calf stretch with that too at the same time.
Pulling on there.
Now you're stretching the whole chain.
Oh yeah.
Abs, and another way to enhance that is to bend one knee and straighten the other one. So with her bending this leg and straightening this one, it's really stretching this out a lot more. And at the same time, you want to drive the hip forward on that same side. That's going to add even a little bit more stretch there to that calf. Then she can switch it and do the other one. Okay, so this is a very good do, as Ron is demonstrating here, is put the balls of the feet into the door jamb there, have the heel dug into the floor, and she's going to want to really push her hip forward here again, and that's going to give a very good stretch on that calf there.
Heel down into the earth. You can bring your upper body forward slightly using the wall for stability, and you'll start to feel a stretch through the back of your calf. Stay here for about 10
minutes. Actually attaches above the knee joint and down into the Achilles tendon, while the soleus is below the knee joint into the Achilles tendon. So they both share a common tendon. And just grabbing your foot like that. So we're going to have her push down into her hands for about 8 seconds. And then when she releases, she's going to pull the foot back into dorsiflexion. You can actually bring the knee back, adjust with the hip accordingly. You want to make sure that you're feeling the stretch on the back, right through the calves, deep to the muscles on the surface, quite deep. Yeah, and same idea. And see, you can see every time she's releasing, she's moving the foot back slightly.
Anyway, so I'll just get Julia to just stick her hands in here like this, and just really get in there and kind of really roll the tissue back and forth on here. So really, really important. So if you do have Achilles tendonitis, you got to make sure you're stretching out the calf muscles, you're stretching out the dorsiflexors on the front here. And
gastroc-soleus stretch performed on a step or a block. Stretch is performed by placing the edge of your foot to be stretched off the edge of the step or block, pushing the heel downwards. Stretch is to be held.
My hope is that I can use now her tibialis anterior to pull her foot up or dorsiflex and pull the fibers of her gastroc and soleus through that connective tissue binding, breaking up some of that cross bridging and freeing up that fascial tissue so that we increase extensibility. So we started by finding the adhesive point, moving the foam roll just distal to it, and now we're using her tibialis anterior to pull those fibers through the adhesive. Foot on the floor and only a small amount of the weight of this leg putting pressure on this leg, all the way to putting this foot over her other foot, so all of the weight of this leg is adding additional pressure. One thing I don't like to see, guys, is the butt up off the ground. Thank you. If you put your butt up off the ground, what I think you guys will find is, number one, it's very hard to hold a static position, hold a nice position for long enough to finish the technique. I think you'll also find that you add a lot of additional tension throughout your musculoskeletal system or myofascial system. It doesn't give us much of an opportunity to get a good release. So we started by increasing the pressure up some of that fascial binding, that connective tissue binding, and increase our extensibility. Number one, I would assume this muscle at all, if I'm using the overhead squat assessment.
Hi and welcome back. In my practice, I see a lot of people with tight I'll see you in the next video.
So bring the camera in just so you can see where I'm treating here. So middle finger, index finger, tension, back up that tension, and come through. The same can be said for the lateral. Index finger, middle finger, same exact move here, same stabilization point. Coming through, fully dorsiflex, fully extend.
Two ball technique here is really designed to be able to hit this gastroc. Gastroc, our big calf muscle, okay? Hard, challenging muscle to be able to manipulate and regain elasticity because it's big. And if I push from this side, give it a good pin and stretch manipulation to help regain some elasticity back in here, because I'm sure I'm not the only one who. And we place one of the balls on the ground, and right in the belly, the middle of our calves is where we hold that right under our shin, okay? And I lay that right underneath there, okay? I take this second ball, and I'm directly above that first ball. And I put it in the palm of my hand, directly under my ulna and radius. I want it to be a direct extension of these two bones so that I can come over the top of it and pin underneath the other one. And I hold this in the base of my hand, and notice how I'm giving just a little bit of a roll. I'm not doing this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pinning it down, just a little knead with my
full flex position at the top, and then slowly travel downward. And transfer, come up and down. Very good.
Straight and put the band around your toe. And what we're going to be getting you to do now is have some space so like you can do the stretch, and you're going to move your ankle and your toe towards you, and then you can really feel the muscle contract, okay? And you're going to be doing this 3 times a day for.
Apply pressure on the leg using your hands if you need them. If you are unable to sit completely cross-legged, you may sit by bending only the leg you are massaging.
Tension in that area. The first is a toe drag stretch. You're going to point your foot behind you with the top of your foot pressing towards the ground. You should feel a stretch in the front of your shin and the top of your foot. Hold for about 15 to 20 seconds and then as possible. You're going to sit on the back of your heels and hold this stretch for 15 to 20 seconds. Third, Knees and ankles stacked on top of each other. You're gonna grab the top of your foot and pull it towards your butt. Hold this for 15 to 20 seconds and switch sides. Behind you. Press the top of your foot down towards the floor, and you should feel a stretch along the front of your shin and the top of your foot. Hold this for about 15 to 20 seconds and then
you can do this sitting, you can do this standing, but when you put a weight on, I do recommend seated because you're able to put a little extra pressure and hold onto the weight onto your foot. So basically it's just more balance, but same exact principle, guys. Up, down, angle it, up, down, and then obviously the end as well. Make sure you hit from all angles, guys. But adding this weight adds the intensity and
around my toes, and I'll put my heels to the edge of the weight, stacked weight. So I'm going to just flex and release. Turn this a little bit here. I'm going to flex up. Right there you can see the tibialis muscles working. Squeeze up, come down really slow. Up and squeeze, find balance. You can either hold onto a wall so you can keep your balance. Stretch it down, come back up. Give this a try and let me know what you think. The second tibialis anterior exercise I'm going to show you is called plate tibialis, right around your toe area. And then you just retract your toes, squeeze your tibialis anterior muscles, come down, pull back and retract, just like that. Squeeze at the top, squeeze at the top. Once again, your rep range in the beginning can be around 15 to 20 repetitions of 3 sets each.
She's going to get in plank position on the wall here to start. It is important to kind of be leaning against a wall. We want stability. Is she's going to try to get into as much dorsiflexion as she possibly can by driving this big toe knuckle, right, her first MTP, up as high as she possibly can. That'll get her thinking about dorsiflexion and inversion, and then she's going to curl her toes at the same time to try to shut down EDL, extensor digitorum longus. Now you guys can see here, Melissa's having a hard time with her dorsiflexion. So we're doing this barefooted only because we want you to be able to see her toes, but you could technically put something under her heels and have her put her shoes on, as you probably would in a group environment anyway. What you put your heels on could just be a couple weight plates that are around. All right, and now she's going to have some room to actually get some dorsiflexion. A good thing for you guys to watch out for is if the person can't get their fifth metatarsal or the lateral side of their foot off the floor, they probably need a little heel rise to make this really effective. Now, the reason this isn't my favorite variation, hard, all right, so I'm going to have her lift this leg and you guys will be able to see the dorsiflexion and inversion on this side as she struggles, which she is definitely struggling. Melissa, you got to work on this. Obviously, this would be a little easier for her if we maybe did a little bit more mobility work to start off with. We, release her calf, mobilize her ankle. It's perfect. And
push the leg forwards as if you were to roll onto the outside of your ankle and feel a mild stretch to the outside front of the lower leg, shin.
I like to do an upward dog stretch for that. So rolling over, putting your feet down on the ground, and if you turn them in slightly, that helps get that anterior tibialis. And then put a lot of the weight on the back and then arch your body up. Holding that stretch, if you can, for about
down on your foot, with the sole of your foot facing up towards your bottom. Make sure your foot is turned inwards too. You should feel a stretch on the outside of the lower part of the leg, shin.
This stretch is to increase the muscle length in the anterior tibialis muscles and the muscles on the dorsal aspect of the foot. The only piece of equipment needed is a rolled up yoga mat or a towel. Kneel and place the tops of the feet just below the ankle joint onto the rolled towel mat and sit back onto the heels. This stretch can
On the knee.
sit back onto the heels. This stretch can
On the knee. Just putting my body weight back. Stretching out
the knee. And we can back it up with the opposite hand to get some more tension on there. And we're going to drop the ankle down, plantar flex, and bring it in. Tension, plantar flex. One more here.
This is going to be with no tools. You're just going to take the heel of your off foot and you're going to place it on the outside of your shin bone where you located your tibialis anterior. Press down onto your tibialis anterior with your heel and then slide up towards your foot.
Kneel on top of the ball and just work side to side. If it's too tight in one spot, I can just kind of hold my breath, squeeze side to side, just like that. So give that a try for
finger backed up by middle finger, and we're going to be tensioning up towards the knee on this one. Once you gain that tension, bring the opposite hand through, and you're going to hold that strong. So we're going to start relaxed in a neutral foot position. We're going to gain our tension point, back it up, and we're going to move through and come into full plantar flexion. Show again. So just like the tibialis posterior